So yeah, I mean, this build is just insane. Like, not only do I not really give a shit about mobs, you're about to see what happens to this poor boss that I'm gonna fight. And remember, this is a dungeon boss. Hit him with the Iron Maiden, hit him with a bone spear, so I can hit him with that the vulnerability, right? And then I'm just gonna hit my ultimate, so I've got that damage around me, and then I'm just gonna hit Blood Mist, and you know, you saw him. He gone. He gone. Yeah, and then done. So the way that this build works is it's really all about explosive mist. This, you'll see this on legendaries, it's on rings, it's on weapons, it's on I think I saw it on boots too. Like, I've gotten it quite a few times. And ultimately what it does is, you know, it turns you into that blood mist where you're undamageable and untargetable. Like, understand that, number one. So not only are you triggering corpse explosion and blowing these fuckers sky high, and reducing the cooldown of doing it again the more you do it, you're also invulnerable, which is fucking crazy. And it cancels damage over time effects. So when I was fighting a Shava, just in case I missed hitting it in time, let's say I'm a millisecond after he does his attack, I take damage, I'm poisoned, I see my health going down. Well, as soon as I hit Blood Mist, that damage immediately stops, and I start gaining health because of the way that this thing is procced. And ultimately, it's just so crazy OP. Like, I'm gaining life while this is occurring. It's just too much. Here, let's go through all these skills. I'll do a full breakdown on this tree. We'll go up here at the top. So right when I start my Necro, I go for the Bone Splinters. They're the easiest to use. It hits a lot of people at once, and it's penetrating, and it gives me this vulnerability. Ultimately, that's what I'm looking for. So I can do more damage to elites, more damage to any bosses that you find, and then you add this extra splinter stuff. It's just a great combination. I absolutely love that. It's super fun at the beginning, and then I go straight in to Bone Spear. And my intent here is that I'm trying to do extra damage, and really I'm picking this as my core attack, which you're gonna see is my main attack in this build, and we'll get some footage at the end of this video so you can watch a lot of the fighting. It's short fights, let's just say that. And I'm really only going to put 1 point in here and then 1 point down the line so I can get the reflection shot, and then get extra vulnerability, because I'm ultimately sacrificing this vulnerability for the end build. And then I'm going to put some points into, just enough points into Hued Flesh, so that I can create extra corpses until I unlock the Corpse and Macabre spells. And I'm going to go into Blood Mist with 1 point, and I'm going to go down the line over here so I can create a corpse every second, do extra damage to the overpower enemies. And then if I still need to add some points, I'm going to add 1 into here to Consuming Corpse to generate essence, so that I can continue that essence flow. And then, you know, if you're going the skeleton route, the summoning minion route, I also, this is totally optional, I add points into the mastery for each of them, just so I know that that they've got that extra HP, because I do expect them to take a ton of damage, because the other side of this entire build is around thorns. And then, of course, into Corpse Explosion all the way down here, so that I'm not just increasing the radius of Corpse Explosion, but increasing the damage to vulnerable and slowed enemies. That builds really well into the minion build, because if you're using, like, ice, like I do, they're going to start slowing enemies, and so that just helps. If they're slowed and vulnerable, it's going to stack. Next is Iron Maiden over here in your Curse skills. Iron Maiden is fantastic because it acts just like Thorns, and this actually procs really well with each one of your minions. So, and we'll get into that at the end of this. And then making it so that Iron Maiden costs no mana and actually increases your mana. Sorry, essence. I keep calling it mana. And then finally, if you hit 3 at once, so every time you hit a mob, you're going to increase that damage that Iron Maiden does. I just find all of that super useful, especially stacking with thorns. It's pretty incredible. Until you get into your Corpse Macabre, and then I'm going to go into Necrotic Carapace with a couple of points here, and the reason is you'll see while I'm fighting, my Fortify, it basically doubles your HP. It's super useful. That's your mana shield, basically. You can kind of think of it like that. And along with all the other shields and things that can trigger from your legendary gear, I just find this super helpful, probably more helpful than some of the other shields, because it just keeps you alive constantly, and especially when you're fighting those world bosses, when they're doing massive amounts of damage and applying like curses, dark the dark damage, chaos damage, or poison. Like this, it just helps a ton, especially if you can proc your blood mist and cancel that damage over time effect that's added to it. And so when I go into Corpse Macabre, you can see that I'm not really applying very many points here. I'm really only putting 2 here, and that's when I'll spend that extra time to maybe build into some of these extra ones over here. And then finally, you can't really go wrong on this build, just so you know. You're going to swim right through the entire beta in Act 1 once the game launches. And then, of course, we've got, if they don't nerf it, and then they've got Bone Storm here, which is going to be the ultimate that I chose. And ultimately, I did this because wherever I'm going, corpses are exploding. I'm expecting all the damage to be around me in particular, and so I'm looking for the Bone Storm to really generate that around me. Generate that extra area of effect around me, and then you're going to decrease the damage you're going to take, and you're going to increase your critical strike chance by just specializing in this. Now, once the game actually comes out, I'm probably going to go towards this ossified essence so I can increase the damage from the blood, but you never know. I might go to one of these as well, maybe help my my blood stuff a little bit, but we'll see how that synergizes later. And then, of course, like on the gear, back to this, like ultimately, a lot of the other stuff I have added here isn't really around corpse stuff. It's really around dealing extra damage and creating barriers. There is one, getting extra skeletal mages or warriors is great. There is one that I've added in here that does help a lot, and that's with consuming a corpse. It's going to increase the damage of my core skill, which of course is what I replaced my basic skill with, which is Bone Spear for this build. But anyway, that is the build. I'm really focusing the rest of the stats in these things around adding damage, of course, to like core stuff, or adding damage to really anybody that's slowed or under some kind of effect, and then giving me those extra skills, maybe adding some cooldown reduction, and then ultimately some like life on kill. I always like the ability to leech, and so I'm trying to apply that here a bit. It seems to help a lot. And then I absolutely recommend, if you can get some extra resistance, like this shadow resistance is fantastic. Shadow resistance or shadow damage does a lot of damage, so adding that can totally help. But yeah, this is my build. I hope you enjoy it. Look, we'll continue with some of the gameplay on here, so you can see this in action a little bit more, hardcore in there. But yeah, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like the video, and check out some of our other videos. Sometimes we do reviews. We got a pretty cool format that we do reviews in. We've also got some funny stuff, some shorts that we hope you like. Anyway, thanks for watching, and yeah, I'll catch you next time.